Hello and welcome to another edition of Nation Building. On our program, we examine the political, social, and moral issues in the leadership of the Bahamas. Today's program, we are talking to a retired politician, and I'll introduce him to you once we get back.
I've been a customer for the past 2 years, and I will say the quality of the service is very good. During my trip to Andros, I was connected the entire trip, so that was really good. I was able to contact my family members and let them know how the trip was going. We touched land, we're here, so it was very good, and I really appreciate that. And also during times like when we had the storm, it was really good to have that service to reach out to our loved ones to make sure everyone is okay. And I really appreciate Alive for that. And even when there's a little technical difficulty, they always send out a little text message to let us know exactly what's going on. I'm happy to be alive, and I believe in best.
Who said you can't get great quality products at an affordable price? If you want the best quality food products at the most affordable prices, you must pick up the Jamaica Bahama brand of fine quality products at your favorite food store. Products like Jamaica Bahama Coconut Water, the most healthy and refreshing drink on the market. Jamaica Bahama Fruit Punch, the only fruit punch in the Bahamas made from real fruit. Jamaica Bahama Coconut Milk, green pigeon peas with coconut milk, condensed milk, kidney beans with coconut milk, corned beef, green pigeon peas, mackerel, and corn. Jamaica Bahama's fine line of products is available at all your favorite food stores and convenience stores nationwide. Telephone 351-8282 in Freeport and 341-4091 in Nassau. I don't wanna win.
Hello.
Did you get it?
Yes, baby. I got it.
Don't come home without it.
These arms of mine, they are yearning for wanting you.
Where is it?
Strongback is distributed by Jamaica Bahamas Import and is available at your favorite food or convenience store nationwide. For more information, call 341-4091 in Nassau and 351-8282 in Freeport.
Welcome back to Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and today's show, we are bringing you a very exciting guest, and I always use that word, but today it's certainly exciting because we are going to have a very, very interesting time here today, and you'll see why in a matter of 3 seconds. We have with us today, we're pleased to have on our show for the first time, Mr. David Wallace. Mr. Wallace, welcome to Nation Building. Thank you for coming and sharing with our viewers today. Of course, Mr. Wallace served in our country as the Member of Parliament for West End and Bimini during that period between 1997 and 2002. And I believe during that period, there was a joke that was coined, Mr. Wallace, don't know if you agreed with it, but it said that the people of West End and Bimini said, we don't want an MC, we want an MP, and so you were fired.
It's ironic. It's a pleasure to be with you today. Certainly a pleasure to be on this wonderful program that you've begun, Nation Building. When you say fired, I am often reminded that Will Stubbs often say to people that I am the incumbent loser. I lost back to back. So yes, it was certainly a pleasure to have served for 5 years between 97 and 2002 as the Member of Parliament for the West End and Bimini constituency. I had a Wonderful experience. It was a 15 years journey. I lost in 2002 and lost again in 2007. And that's when I coined the phrase, you could fire me as an MP, but you can't fire me as an MC.
And you're a gifted man. People around the country of course, know Mr. Wallace for much of what he has done in providing laughter to the people in the country. I believe it's reasonable to say that you are the epitome of entertainment in the country as far as serving as master of ceremony, but not only that, putting on so many play that the country has enjoyed over the years. You've made politics not just a career for a period of your life, but you've made politics entertaining for the country as well.
No doubt. I said to Ken Russell, the then Member of Parliament for High Rock, after the 2002 election, that I wanted to get people to laugh after the election. The FNM had just lost the election, and Ken Russell looked at me in the eye and said, nobody want to laugh. He was my inspiration, and we then did a show. We teamed up, Michael Pintard and myself. The show was called Election 2002. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. My goal was to make from that show my MP salary of $27,000, what I had lost when I got fired. I'm happy to report that I probably made a minister's salary with that show. And so I couldn't wait until the election finished in 2007. And the Honorable Alison Maynard Gibson gave us the name for that show. It was called Election 2007.
Count it again.
Count it again, man. Count it again. She told them that night, I don't care if you done count it 1,000 times. I am telling you to count it again. And then after the 2012 election, former Prime Minister Ingram gave us the name for the show. He was wondering what just happened. And so the show was Election 2012, What Just Happened. He said we should have called it What the Hell Just Happened, because he ain't figured out yet what happened. And then
he must have figured out by now.
Oh, no doubt. And then we are about a year late going into studio.
I was about to ask you what happened to 2017.
You know, we were waiting on instructions from the Honorable Michael Pintard, who cannot be in the production. And we were waiting for him to give us the writing of the production. But unfortunately, his schedule will not allow that to happen. And so I sent him a text on the 10th of May, which gave him a year to produce a script for us. And so we're going to work with Ms. Gia Pierre. And so we'll pull back the talents of the Will Stubbs, the Tawari Rogers, the Patrice Johnson, the Tammy, Tamika. We'll find a replacement for Will. And we were trying to determine...
So Will Stubbs will not be...
No, we'll find a replacement for Michael, I'm sorry. And so, Will Stubbs is the play himself. We were trying to determine if the show was going to be called Election 2017, it was a Red Tsunami, or Election 2017, the Final Shuffle. And so I happened to MC an event for Sir Arthur Folks on his 90th birthday about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Both former Prime Minister Ingram and former Prime Minister Christie was there, and I told Mr. Christie, only with his blessing we will call the show the Final Shuffle, and he gave it his blessing to be called the Final Shuffle.
So we'll have the Final Shuffle coming up soon.
Yes.
We're here today to talk about a very exciting business venture in Grand Bahama, and God knows Grand Bahama needs as many projects that's stimulating that economy as we can find. But before we do that, seeing that you started to talk a little about your history, I wanted for viewers who know you in so many roles but probably didn't really know your background in politics, to say what caused you, what drew you to politics in the first place, and a quick 2-minute synopsis of where you started and how did you end up becoming a candidate for the Free National Movement?
You know, it's ironic you should ask that question. And I often say to persons that the first time many people vote, who turning 18, we don't vote on the issues, you know. We don't vote on the candidate. We vote with mommy and daddy. If mommy and daddy say I is PLP or I am an FNM, then that's what we are. That's what most persons who voted for the first time. In 1977, my uncle Alton Wallace, the late, God rest his soul, was the BDP candidate in 1977. That's when the split was within the F&M, and so I was with the BDP.
The F&M seemed like it has had many splits.
Oh, that's why it's a movement. It's called a free national movement. We move here, we move there, but we go back to the base. And so, lo and behold, there was a split. I don't know why it happened. I can't remember now. And my uncle was the candidate. Well, my father got killed when I was 8 years old, December 28th, 1967. They used to call him DG. And my uncle Alton Wallace and my uncle Clarence Wallace grew me up. They impacted my life greatly. And so when Uncle Alton took the nomination for the BDP, there was no question where I was going to support.
Where did he come? What party was he previously?
He was with the, he was with the F&M, and the F&M had split, so he went with the BDP side. And I
led by
it was led by Henry Bostwick
at that time.
Henry Bostwick was the leader of the BDP at that time, and I remember the election of '77. We didn't win, and I don't think the BDP won a seat. I could be wrong. And the slogan was "Sweep it clean and keep it clean." And we used to be driving up and down 8 Mile Rock with this broom, but we sweeping it clean and keeping it clean. And so that's when my political career started. I had just turned 18 in 1977. After the election of '77, Alton then said to me, "Well, David, I joined in the PLP." So I joined the Progressive Liberal Party with him.
So you just followed Uncle Alton?
I just followed Uncle Alton. And so the second time I voted for the Progressive Liberal Party. As a matter of fact, I served as the vice chairman of the Young Liberals in Grand Bahama. Keith Meadows, who served as the president, and I served as the vice president. We formed the Young Liberals in Grand Bahama after the 1982 elections. And so I served the Progressive Liberal Party. As a matter of fact, I spoke at a Progressive Liberal Party convention. I think it might have been around about just before Hubert Ingram got fired. And I remember speaking at that convention that night. Before convention, you had to present your speech to Mr. Pinlan 24 hours in advance.
Is that so?
Yes. And so I took my speech to Captain office, to Sir Lyndon. When I got back, I'd written a very...
Not to him personally.
To him personally. He read your speech. And when I got back, Sir Lyndon had changed my speech. So I said to him, I was a feisty young man then. I said, "Sir Lyndon, sir, with the greatest respect, if you can change my speech, then maybe you should give my speech." So he said to me in that very quiet, unassuming voice, "No, if you won't give your speech, then go ahead." Peter Adley had helped me write this speech. It was called Serve or Suffer. And I remember that night at the Holiday Inn over on Paradise Island for the convention. When I got up to speak, man, that room stood up and they cheered. When I was finished speaking, thanks for the 4 young liberals at the back of the room, everybody just cut their eye as I walked down the aisle. I told them then that the PLP had run loose and slack ministries and we needed to be accountable. And gone are the days when mommy and daddy will come to these conventions, dress up in their bush jacket, and all you got to say is PLP, and we can say all the way. We have to be accountable. That didn't sit too well, and so I then...
And that was in the late 80s?
That was
before the 87 election or after the 87 election?
That would have been after the 87 election.
Right.
It would have been after
But so you
87.
jumped. In 1982, you joined with Uncle Alton. Did he become a candidate for the PLP or no?
No, he was not a candidate in 82.
So you just
But he
served.
became a candidate in 1987.
Right. So in the 87 election, leading up to that election was when you gave that convention
I gave it
speech.
after the election.
Oh, it was
I would
after.
have given it after. I would have given it
So
after the
that
election.
would have been 88 then?
Around about 88, 89.
Okay.
Just before the 92 election. As a matter of fact, it was after the 87 election that I moved from the Progressive Liberal Party. Because Alton, who I thought was an amicable candidate, well-liked, popular fella in Grand Bahama.
And what constituency did he
He
run?
ran for West End and Bimini in 97, in
87.
77. But in 87, he ran for the 8 Mile Rock constituency. That's when the 8 Mile Rock constituency was formed. And he ran against a very good friend of his and a godfather to me, J.M. Pinder. And I campaigned with Alton in 1987 in the 8 Mile Rock constituency that comprised of Bohemia, Pinder's Point, Lewis Yard, Hunters,
So it was a
Marktown.
very friendly campaign.
Oh, very amicable campaign. As a matter of fact, John Roll, the late John Roll from the furniture store, he liked the candidate so much that he gave both of them a headquarters in his building. So on one side of the road was Alton headquarters, on the next side it was J.M. Pinder headquarters. And we were good friends. It was never a dirty campaign because Alton and J.M. were like brothers. JM and my father were just like brothers before he got killed. My father used to work at Star with the JM. And so we always had the greatest respect for one another. Sure. But it was after the 87 election when Alton wrote a letter to Mr. Pinlin. And he indicated to Mr. Pinlin that while he had not won the election for the 8 Mile Rock constituency for the PLP, he would have liked to fulfill one campaign promise, and that was he had promised the persons in the constituency that he would have fight to put light on the Fishing Hole Road. Mr. Pinlin wrote Alton a one-line letter. That's the first time I read a one-line letter. Alton Wallace, PLP candidate, 8 Mile Rock constituency, Freeport, Grand Bahama. Dear Mr. Wallace, and the letter said, 8 Mile Rock constituency has made their choice. Signed, Lyndon Oscar Pinlin. In other words, you didn't vote for me? I ain't considering putting the light on the Fishing Hole Road. That's when I said to Alton, you see, because the first 2 times I was voting for him, I said, now, from here on in, I'm voting for me. Now, you could stay with the PLP, but that's where I part company. Because
that was too much for
that
you.
was unbearable, in that I believe a government ought to be a government for people, whether they vote for them or not.
Those days are gone.
Gone. And I hope they never come back, because they were some dark days.
Some people still believe that in light of recent happenings, and I'm sure those on the opposite side have been arguing, not I'm sure, they have been arguing and crying foul that people are being fired and all the rest of it by current administration, and they claim it's victimization. I guess every government is crying whenever the other government takes office that there's some degree of this kind of a practice where...
And there is. I don't support it. I think we have an obligation to help our people after the election. I was never a supporter of terminating persons.
It is a small country.
It's a small country, and we are all related
one people.
some way or the other. And both governments can be blamed for it, but it's something that I hope the day will come when it is completely behind us.
Will it take another generation to do that? You think the current leaders and...
You know, the sad thing is the supporters is warm blood. But I believe there's...
But doesn't it take mature leaders to
does.
push back against supporters that would want to continue this practice?
It should.
Say no?
And yes, and I believe it ought to. Because at the end of the day, we are all Bahamians, and that is the common denominator. I often say to persons that we are not PLPs or FNM, you know. We support the Progressive Liberal Party, or we support the Free National Movement.
But we're Bahamians.
But we are Bahamians.
You're watching Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and we'll be right back after this break.
I've been a customer for the past 2 years, and I will say the quality of the service is very good. During my trip to Andros, I was connected the entire trip. So that was really good. I was able to contact my family members and let them know how the trip was going. We touched land, we're here. So it was very good. And I really appreciate that. And also during times like when we had the storm, it was really good to have that service to reach out to our loved ones to make sure everyone is okay. And I really appreciate Alive for that. And even when there's a little technical difficulty, they always send out a little text message to let us know exactly what's going on. I'm happy to be alive, and I believe in best.
Who said you can't get great quality products at an affordable price? If you want the best quality food products at the most affordable prices, you must pick up the Jamaica Bahama brand of fine quality products at your favorite food store. Products like Jamaica Bahama Coconut Water, the most healthy and refreshing drink on the market. Jamaica Bahama Fruit Punch, the only fruit punch in the Bahamas made from real fruit. Jamaica Bahama coconut milk, green pigeon peas with coconut milk, condensed milk, kidney beans with coconut milk, corned beef, green pigeon peas, mackerel, and corn. Jamaica Bahama's fine line of products is available at all your favorite food stores and convenience stores nationwide. Telephone 351-8282 in Freeport and 341-4091 in Nassau.
I don't wanna win. No, no, I don't wanna win.
Hello.
Did you get it?
Yes, baby. I got it.
Don't come home without it.
These arms of mine, they are yearning for wanting you.
Where is it?
Strongback is distributed by Jamaica Bahamas Import and is available at your favorite food or convenience store nationwide. For more information, call 341-4091 in Nassau and 351-8282 in Freeport.
Welcome back to Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and I'm here today with Mr. David Wallace of Grand Bahama. And Mr. David Wallace, of course, is a former member of parliament for West End and Bimini constituency and a businessman. I think he's always been a businessman, but now he's leading a significant project in Grand Bahama, helping to revitalize the city through providing a great venture called Pirates Cove, and we're going to get into the meat of that in a minute. Mr. Wallace, before we get into Pirates Cove, just wanted to give you an opportunity to finish for the viewers what led you talked about why you left the PLP, what led you to the FNM, and when did you officially join the FNM?
Well, I became delusional with the PLP from in '84 when they fired Hubert Ingram. I was at the convention again at the Holiday Inn, and I remember that day.
But you stayed in the party even after that?
I stayed because Alton Wallace then became a candidate. So in '87, I supported Alton Wallace.
So you weren't voting for yourself yet?
No, I voted for Alton again. And Ingram and Christie, who had gotten fired from the Progressive Liberal Party, then ran independent in that '87 general election.
And they were given a bye by the then Free National Movement.
The Free National Movement then gave them a bye and did not run a candidate against them. And
or else they would have lost. No doubt.
I told persons the only true independent ever was Whitney Bastian, who beat the PLP and the FNM. But they were given
in
a
South
bye.
Andrews.
In South Andrews. They were given a bye.
So quickly, you joined the Free National Movement because you were disillusioned with the Progressive Liberal Party and some of the things you had experienced. So what...
in 1992, I supported the Free National Movement for the first time. Dennis Martin.
Did you become a member or you just...
I just voted for them. I figured as deep as I was within the Progressive Liberal Party, I needed a cooling off time. So I took after the '87 election to just, after the Alton got that letter, just cooled off. And I didn't get involved, didn't knock on no door, but I just supported Dennis Martin. I remember going to the first FNM rally in 1992. I was scared to go. Went to Hawksbill. They were rallying at the Hawksbill High School for that '92 election, and I, like Nicodemus going to Jesus by night, I go and I sit on my car. I just wanted to hear the message of the Free National Movement. And lo and behold, I'll never forget, Angela Sands saw me sitting on my car.
Who used to work at Patelco?
Who used to be at Patelco. And she came around, she put her hand around me. She said, you could come, and she carried me closer. And I sat there and I listened to Hubert Ingram, who was then the leader of the FNM. And he was just, and Ingram used to speak long back then. And he was just saying
things. He had a lot of things to say.
Because of his involvement at the level he had with the Progressive Liberal Party, serving as chairman, serving as a minister, was fired, he had information. And that's when I then decided...
You became a full convert.
Yes, I supported the Free National Movement. And then he came to me in 1997 and offered me a candidate.
Yeah, but what led him to do that? You just, after all, you only voted for the party. What happened?
I think I was popular. I served my community well. I was involved in Freeport High School Alumni Association. I served in the Nebo's Lodge 21. I was president of the Martintown School PTA. I was active and well known in the community. And then being in the insurance industry and emceeing weddings, people knew you. And I wanted to run in 8 Mile Rock. As a matter of fact, J.M. Pinder came to me and asked me to consider going in the 8 Mile Rock constituency in '97 because he was stepping aside. And I asked him if he had considered Lindy Russell, and he said Lindy wasn't interested. So I went to see Lindy, and Lindy told me he was not interested. I came to convention, of the FNM with the thought of I can be the candidate for the 8 Mile Rock constituency. The West End and Bimini constituency had a meeting with Mr. Ingram, and they invited me to come to this meeting over at his office. Lloyd Edgecombe, Duda, and Oral Ellis, and Vincent Ellis, they say, just come go with us to the meeting. So innocently, I go on to the meeting. So Mr. Ingram said to them, well, y'all find a candidate yet? So they pointed me. My eye dropped. Me? So they said, we want David Wallace.
You go to 8 Mile Rock.
So I said to Mr. Ingram, I won't go to 8 Mile Rock. But then I gave him a condition. And I said to him, the only condition that I'll go to West End and Bimini is if Lindy Russell runs in 8 Mile Rock. Because at that time, they had 2 or 3 other persons who was interested in 8 Mile Rock. I remember Philip Hepburn was interested. I think Charles Seeley and them. So they had some other people who were vying for 8 Mile Rock. And Ingram said, okay, I'll talk to Lindy. Well, after my meeting with Lindy, I figured Lindy say, he ain't interested. Well, after Ingram finished meeting with Lindy, Ingram called me, tell me I need to pack my bag and go to West End and Bimini. And mind you, it worked out for the better. And that was the first time that the Free National Movement won the West End and Bimini constituency after the elections.
And you faced then the candidate then for the Progressive Liberal Party, I think, was an attorney.
No, it was Mr.
Brown?
George Weish.
Oh, they had switched out.
No,
Simeon.
what happened was Ingram put 2 seats together. Remember when the FNM won in 92, there were 49 seats.
Right.
He reduced it, I think, to 41. Right. So he had taken West End and Bimini
and just made
it one.
And
so the PLP in West End was Simeon Brown in 92. And the PLP in Bimini was Mr. George Weish in 92. And so I guess Ingram figured if I put them 2 together, and if they win it, I take a seat away from them anyhow. But fate had it that...
So just to be clear, because of the amalgamation...
Mr. Brown stepped out. Simeon Brown did not offer himself.
Weish, right.
Weish, Mr. George Weish was then the candidate.
Right. Who was the sitting MP for Bimini?
He was the sitting member of Parliament for Bimini.
And so you won.
And I think one of the challenges that helped me was Mr. Weish was not as popular in Grand Bahama.
In West End.
In the West End side of the constituency.
Did you win Bimini or just West End?
Would you believe out of the 12 polling divisions, I only won 3 of those polling divisions.
But you won them heavily.
Seagrape. Seagrape constituency, I won Seagrape, I won Jonestown, and I won Holmes's Rock, polling division number 5.
And you won them heavily.
I won them by enough votes. And in Bimini, I ran an even race. I think he beat me in Bimini by less than 30 votes.
West End has always consistently, even to date, voted for the PLP, West End proper.
Yes.
Even now, with the tsunami that happened last year.
Yeah, but there are constituencies that you know, history tells you how they will vote over the years. I'll give you an example. The PLP has never won Pinders Point, Lewis Yard, Hunters, and Mactown. They vote heavily for the FNM. The FNM has never won West End polling divisions 1, 2, and 3. They vote heavily for the PLP. Bimini was a 50-50. I'll give you an example. In one election, Mr. George Weish won. The next election, Mr. Frank Roll won, when it was Bimini in the Berry Islands. The next election, Mr. George Weish won. And you don't win by no more than 30 votes.
Okay.
And so
we've covered your political history.
Yes.
And we know you ran again after the winning in 97. When you won in 97, where did you serve?
I served as parliamentary secretary for the Ministry of Transport, Aviation, and Local Government.
And your senior minister at the time?
Senior minister was the Honorable C.A. Smith, and the permanent secretary was Mr. Archie Nairn in the ministry.
And so in the 2002 election, you got wiped out with that wave.
Well, I tell him, Ingram put more on me. Ingram told me when he made me parliamentary secretary, he said, Mr. Wallace, I'm giving you and CA parliamentary secretary for local government. We have all the seat in the family island. If you all don't bring me all my seat, don't bring back yours. And lo and behold, me and CA lost in 2002.
Okay. So that has been Mr. David Wallace's political history. Mr. Wallace, though, you have continued to serve the community of Grand Bahama. And so Pirates Cove, which is a major venture, this is something you conceived, wasn't it?
Strangely enough, it is. I often tell persons, I believe we in the Bahamas, Mr. Pinnock, has an opportunity to own a greater piece of this Bahamian pie by pooling our resources. The Sunshine Boys, 50 years ago, did something that has become phenomenal in this country, but we've not duplicated it. And I'm not sure we've educated people on how to duplicate it. It is the process of pooling your resources. And if you check their history, of the Sunshine Boys, when they started back some 50 years ago, the common denominator for all of the boys, they went to St. Agnes Church. It was a group of men who came together and started pooling their resources. I think they started off by owning a piece of land where your church was here in Nassau. They sold that.
On Carmichael Road.
Carmichael Road. They bought the theater. They sold that.
Wasn't that the drive-in theater?
Yes.
Back in the days?
But what they've been able to do through pooling their resources, when the time came for them to buy Freeport Oil, they were able to purchase that company. And today, I believe they are some of the most wealthiest Bahamians through the concept of pooling their resources. I learned from them. And in 1997, I pulled my family together. 37 of us at my Uncle Clarence Wallace's home. And I told them where I sat in Grand Bahama as a member of Parliament. I saw some things happening for Grand Bahama. That's when the shipyard was being...
Container port.
The container port. That's when Alukaya was being done, imploded and rebuilt. That's when polymers. That's when Bradford Marine. And I said, if we are able to pool our resources, we could own a piece of this pie. And the concept was that we'll all throw $100 every month into this pot to raise.
And that was something, just to be clear, to not gloss over this. This is for black Bahamians, this is not a usual concept. Unfortunately, our people hasn't pooled together well.
No, they haven't, especially the black Bahamians. I believe the white Bahamians have done a much better job in being able to not only pool together, but...
Why do you think, before you move on, why have our people failed?
Because of the concept of I and not the we. They don't realize there's unity and strength. The Bible tells you that one will chase 1,000, but two will put 10,000 to flight. The process of duplication. And so it's easier. It's an
exponential process.
Exponential growth. What can I do earning a salary of $40,000 or $50,000 a year? Maybe build a duplex, maybe a triplex. But I couldn't, from that income, build me a 10-story building. But 20 of us can. And so what we did as a family, Hector and our Amina Roll family, only 13 bought into the project. And we pooled our resources. We threw $400 a month for a half a share and $800 a month for a full share. Because our Uncle Clarence told us, whatever investment we go in, you're going to need money. And after 4 years, Pinnock, we had saved $480,000 with an honest treasurer like Clarence. And so I went to see Sir Albert Miller, and I said to Sir Albert, we want to do an investment, sir. Tell me, what do you think is a good investment?
And he was then chairman of the
Port Authority. And what often kills Bahamian is we want to go try something. I ain't trying nothing. I want to go talk to somebody who has done it. The safest way, I'm told, to cross the minefield is to walk in the footsteps of someone who has crossed. And Sir Albert said to me, he said, David, the safest investment is still real estate. He said, don't call in sick, don't go on strike, don't get pregnant, and never ask you for a raise. And he sold us the property next to then Imperial Life, and we built this 3-story. We went to the bank and we borrowed about $1 million. And here was these 13 Bahamians could go and sign to borrow $1 million. It took us about 8 years to pay off the loan. But every year, the first Sunday in February, it's Super Bowl Sunday, we have our annual board meeting where we pay our dividends. I tell persons I like the month of February so much, Pinnock. I wish the year was December, January, February, March, April, February, June, July, February, because February has been very, very good for us as it relates to that investment. And so 6 years ago, while on a family reunion cruise with the same Hector Roll family, I was in Antigua. And I had a little cousin by the name of Crystalline Higgs who was trying to convince me for us to do a zip line tour. Pinnock, I had never heard of a zip line before 6 years ago. Didn't know what it was. She didn't convince me. I didn't try to convince the family member. We did a traditional tour for 3 hours in the city of Antigua. While on the tour, I saw these bunch of tourists lined up on this line. And I said to the tour driver, I said, why are they lined up there? He said, they're waiting to go on the zip line. I said, can you stop the bus and let me see what the zip line is? Because that's the second time I had heard this word that day. And lo and behold, he stopped the bus. And they took their natural landscape. They had these trees that had grown up about 100 feet in the air over the rainforest, and they had these connected by wires, and people were in these harness, and they were zipping from tree to tree. And I said, Lord, Tarzan and Jane has come full circle. And so I said, why don't we have it in the Bahamas? And I came back with a thought of putting a zip line in the Bahamas. Met with some people. Wendell Grant, an engineer, he bought into the idea. Evan Cartwright, the landscaping architect, he bought into the idea. Donald Dean, an architect, he bought into the idea. Clarence Wallace, the treasurer, he bought into the idea. Vincent Vanderpool Wallace, the former Minister of Tourism, he bought into the idea. Philip Galanis, I wanted somebody from the PLP and somebody from the SNL.
I was just going to say that you hedged your bet.
Yes, whoever win, you win. And then we got this lady by the name of Taria Grant. She's married to Jamal Mizik in the Turks and Caicos Islands. And he came in on board. He was a lawyer, but more importantly, our goal was to put a zip line in Freeport, one in Nassau, and one in Grand Turk. And so we've been able to put a zip line and a water park in Grand Bahama. Thanks to the Grand Bahama Port Authority, thanks to the government, we've built 7 towers. Presently at the water park, because the water park opened first. The Port Authority.
When was it opened?
On June 1st, 2016.
So your approvals actually came under the previous government?
Well, for Grand Bahama, we didn't need no approval from the government.
Right, oh, the Port Authority.
The Port Authority. But let me tell you, we went to the government before we went to the Port Authority. We went to the government around 2014. That was the Progressive Liberal Party.
Christie administration.
Christie administration. We met with Mr. Christie, met with Minister Wilschcombe, met with all of the subaltern battle, made our presentation, couldn't get a letter of approval. So we then went to the Port Authority.
We're gonna come right back. We have to take this break. You're watching Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and we'll be back after this break.
Who said you can't get great quality products at an affordable price? If you want the best quality food products at the most affordable prices, you must pick up the Jamaica Bahama brand of fine quality products at your favorite food store. Products like Jamaica Bahama coconut water, the most healthy and refreshing drink on the market. Jamaica Bahama fruit punch, the only fruit punch in the Bahamas made from real fruit. Jamaica Bahama coconut milk, green pigeon peas with coconut milk, condensed milk, kidney beans with coconut milk, corned beef, green pigeon peas, mackerel, and corn. Jamaica Bahama's fine line of products is available at all your favorite food stores and convenience stores nationwide. Telephone 351-8282 in Freeport and 341-4091 in Nassau. I don't wanna win. No, no, I don't wanna win.
Hello.
Did you get it?
Yes, baby. I got it.
Don't come home without it.
These arms of mine, they are yearning for wanting you.
Where is it?
Strongback is distributed by Jamaica Bahamas Import and is available at your favorite food or convenience store nationwide. For more information, call 341-4091 in Nassau and 351-8282 in Freeport.
I've been a customer for the past 2 years, and I will say the quality of the service is very good. During my trip to Andros, I was connected the entire trip. So that was really good. I was able to contact my family members and let them know how the trip was going. We touched land, we're here. So it was very good. And I really appreciate that. And also during times like when we had the storm, it was really good to have that service to reach out to our loved ones to make sure everyone is okay. And I really appreciate Alive for that. And even when there's a little technical difficulty, they always send out a little text message to let us know exactly what's going on. I'm happy to be alive, and I believe in best.
Welcome back to Nation Building. I'm your host, Winston Pinnock, and I'm here today talking with Mr. David Wallace, who is the Chief Executive Officer at Grand Bahama's latest and some say greatest attraction. Mr. Wallace, do you agree that your project, Pirates Cove, is the latest and greatest attraction?
I believe
in a long
it is.
time?
I believe it is one of the newest attractions, not only for the tourists, but for the locals alike. I want to say a thank you to Evan Cartwright and Wendell Grant, because originally my mind was a zip line. But after the Port Authority leased us the 7.43 acres of land on Tino Beach, Evan and Wendell said, why not let's design a water park? And so Evan, who was the landscape architect, he then started designing this water park. But I want to thank the Port Authority, Pinnock, and I'll tell you why. Within 2 weeks, they approved the project. Within 4 weeks,
Ian Rowland
Ian Roll,
Company.
Graham Road. Within 4 weeks, they gave us a lease over the land. And they gave us a lease for 30 years. Evan always asks me what we can do after 30 years. I tell him I can be dead and gone. That can be somebody else's problem. But we were able to put in the water park that consists of jet skis. It has a water park first, and I'll show you the water park. The water park is a floating device that floats on the sea. It can hold up to about 65 persons on the water park. This is the beach experience. And so this shows you what the beach looked like when we would have it all decorated with all of the umbrellas and lounge chairs. So to the guests coming in on the cruise ship and to the guests on the island, which is a limited amount now, we are able to offer banana boat ride, jet ski ride, the water park, kayaks, paddleboard. We have a beach massage. We have 3 restaurants, Jack Sparrow Grill Pit, Rollies, and Pirates Tavern. We have 2 souvenir booths on the park where persons can buy local souvenir. We have a hair braiding pavilion. We have changing room. We have showers. We have a lady who does an excellent beach massage. $20 for 20 minutes. It's the hottest thing in the park. We have an ice cream booth. We built a bar around the tree. And last but not least, just about 4 or 5 months ago, thanks to Prime Minister Minnis and his wife, they came down along with the Deputy Prime Minister and they officially opened the Zipline Park that was built by a team of persons out of Jamaica. They had built the Zipline for Choctaws over the years. And so we want to say a special thank you to LaShawn Clark and Dane Davison. Within 5 months, they were able to put up a Zipline Park for us. And so for persons who don't know what a Zipline is, that's the Zipline Tower. That's tower number 1. Each tower tells the story of the history of Grand Bahama. So you will zip from Tower 1 to Tower 2. Tower 2 tells the story of the pirates. Tower 1 tells the story of the Carib and Arawak Indians who came to the Bahamas in 1200 from South America. Tower 2 tells the story of the pirates who used to invade the land, and that's where Blackbeard then became famous. That's why we call it Pirates Cove. Tower 3 tells the story of Christopher Columbus, the Pinta, the Nina, and the Santa Maria, who sailed to the Bahamas on October of 1492. Then you will zip to Tower 4. Tower 4 tells the story of the British, who brought law and rule to the Bahamas. And in 1729, they established a parliament. That's why we drink tea today with our pinky fingers stick off. You know, that's our British ancestry. Then you will walk on a suspension bridge. From Tower 4, you walk to Tower 5. Tower 5 is called Independence Tower. It tells the story of Sir Lyndon, Mr. Ingram, Mr. Christie, and Dr. Minnis, and our former governor generals. They'll have pictures of all of them up in the tower, telling the persons who visit the tower the history of the Bahamas. And then from the Tower 5 to Tower 6, the longest zip, it's 400, about 520 feet. You'll be traveling at about 35 to 40 miles per hour.
That's fast, David.
Oh yeah, that one is fast. That last zip, that tells, the Tower 6 tells the story of the Port Authority, who leased this 7.43 acres of land from the government back in 1955.
Well, just to correct you, you mean all of the land that they did, because you were saying 7.4 acres. That's what you got.
I only got 7.43.
Right,
yeah,
but
yeah.
They leased all of the land.
Of Freeport, the city of Freeport, from the government.
Right.
And then we take you to the last tower, and the last tower we're going to dedicate that to Hector and Aramina Roll, my great-grandparents, who were the sons of the slaves who came to Grand Bahama back in the 1800s from Exuma, from Rollville, Exuma. His father was Hector Roll Sr., And Hector Roll Sr.'s father was Ambrose Roll. Ambrose Roll was one of the 21 slaves who were very disobedient. They will not rule.
We see why you are so disobedient.
Oh, I tell Reverend J.C. Wallace that all the time. Me and him have that same spirit. And because Lord Rule couldn't rule them, he put them on his boat and he shipped them to Holmes's Rock where he had some land. And the 21 slaves then lived in Holmes's Rock.
Very, very interesting history, Mr. Wallace. And so that all has brought us to Pirates Cove. As we talk to the nation, as you do, this project is in Grand Bahama, but you, I'm sure, want to invite the people throughout the Bahamas that watches our program to visit. It is, I've been there myself, it is a very, very wonderful attraction. It would make any Bahamian proud to know that this was developed by Bahamians. It's not a foreign-owned entity. And how significant, how much support are you getting locally? I know the cruise ship. Tell us about what's happening as far as how the project is being supported.
Well, first, the project was built by 26 Bahamians who all threw their $50,000 into a pot that raised the $1.3 million to build the project. And I want to say thank you to all of the investors in Pirates Cove who bought into the investment. The concept was that we'll build it in Freeport. We then take the dividends out of the first year and we build one in Nassau. So our goal is to put a zip line and water park in the capital city of Nassau. And we've begun discussions with the government. We had started it from 2014. And so now with the Minutes administration, we've already had our first meeting. And so we will go back sometime next month to see how we could finalize the deal. We are proposing to put the project on Western Espionage. That is between Junkanoo Beach and Awaki. Whatever is there now will stay because we're going to be zipping 70 feet above the road and above what is there. And then the goal of the investors is to then put one in Grand Turk. Grand Turk receives about 800,000 cruise passengers every year. And so with Jamal and Turia Mizik, we believe we'll be able to complete one.
So let's get back to Grand Bahama, which is both of our hometown, and talk quickly about the state of the economy. You can't get away from the politics, and you're a former politician. And there are still a year in to the Minutes administration, your party. There is still significant noise, if I can describe it that way, about the state of the economy, but particularly about people's expectation of what the new administration would do. You have a deputy prime minister in Grand Bahama now for the first time. You have a minister of state for Grand Bahama. You have a parliamentary secretary, two parliamentary secretaries, and you have a minister of sports, of youth, sports, and culture. So you have three cabinet ministers in the government, and again, like I said, is it reasonable to say that the people are concerned, not satisfied with where things are?
There is a reasonable concern that some people are not satisfied where things are. People have to appreciate, though, when it would have taken you in Grand Bahama from 2004 with Hurricane Francis and Jane and the closure of the Princess Hotel, when people would have seen how many years it has taken for Grand Bahama to get to the level that it is, to expect it to be returned within 1 year, I think is very unreasonable.
But some people are saying, though, that you talk about 2004, that much hasn't changed. In fact, the population has gone down.
It has. And we have to thank the islands of Abaco and Bimini and Nassau, who continues to help us, because many persons have left Grand Bahama and moved to those islands and are taking care of their family through working on those islands. Life has gone full circle, because there were the days of the 60s when many persons flocked to Grand Bahama from Andros and from Eleuthera to take care of their families in those, and the Turks and Caicos Islands. But
that's not good for the economy.
No, it is. It's not. It's not. And I make no excuses about it, because Grand Bahama economy needs to be revitalized. And I believe the revitalization of Grand Bahama economy will start with the opening of the hotel on the Strip. I know the government is working feverishly to try and get that done and open.
But David,
one of the
aren't we doing the same thing over and over? I mean, this hotel has been closed, reopened by different investors. I mean, is this really sustainable? Is this really the only hope for Grand Bahama?
Let me tell you what my view is. And bear in mind, I'm not in the seat of government. I don't sit as the member of parliament. I don't sit around a table. I can just tell you what my observation
As a
is.
businessman.
As a businessman. It has to start somewhere. I believe it should start with Port Lucaya catching life. Because what will happen when our Lucaya and Memories open its doors? First, I don't like the all-inclusive concept. And I think the government was working hard with this new agreement to take out this all-inclusive concept. I think the all-inclusive concept in some places of Jamaica worked well. Up at Club Fortuna, it works well. Why? There's nothing around Club Fortuna. But when you have an all-inclusive hotel in Memories, where persons will eat and drink everything in the hotel, the restaurants in Port Lucaya will suffer from that kind of investment. And so I believe with the all-inclusive out, with the reopening, and I'm told that the deal is pretty close to about 90% done.
We've been hearing that for some time.
But the journey of the 1,000 miles begin with the first step. In that, I got to give ministers some time to get in, to become familiar, to get organized, and bear in mind, only I think 2, maybe 3 persons in Minnis administration came to the cabinet with cabinet experience, which would have been Dr. Minnis himself, it would have been the Honorable Brent Simonet, and the Honorable Desmond Bannister. I can't think of nobody else who would have been in before.
And is that an excuse?
No, but you know, I often say to people, because everybody will mark your report card in 1 year. Well, the beautiful thing about politics is you have a 5-year term. And unlike people who believe my contract should automatically be renewed, politicians have to realize that they only have a 5-year term. At the end of the 5th year, the Bahamian people have a right to determine if I want to renew your contract or if I want to fire you.
Isn't a year, though, reasonable to expect that people should at least be satisfied with the direction in which their government is heading? And so a lot of what we're hearing...
You are dealing with human beings. They will never be satisfied. They sing a song in church, say, not until my soul is resting in the presence of the Lord will I ever be satisfied. No, don't care what you do. It ain't enough.
Are you accusing the people of Grand Bahama of being impatient,
no,
of being
I have
unreasonable?
No doubt. See, we keep looking, and I tell them, do we really examine the economy of Grand Bahama? Because aside from the hotel industry, Grand Bahama continues to hold its own, you know, Pinnock. I'll tell you why I say that. In the industrial sector of Grand Bahama, it's holding its own. The shipyard, the container port now has I think there are 2 or 3 new cranes just came back because they got damaged after. If a crane got damaged after the hurricane and it takes the company 8 months to build these cranes and send them back, we got to have some sense of understanding and some sense of reasoning. In the shipping sector,
but those are
Freeport Ship Services.
Those are all projects done under the earlier Ingram administration. What people, I guess, are debating and arguing is the last pre-LP government, most people say, didn't really leave a footprint in Grand Bahama. And now the current administration, I guess they thought with all the power players from Grand Bahama that in a year something would start. And isn't that reasonable to expect?
It is reasonable to expect. And I think something will start. But to say nothing has been done, if there's one thing I must tell you with this Prime Minister, every trip he go on, he promoting Grand Bahama. Everything he talks about, he's in Grand Bahama once a month trying to get... Grand Bahama economy is not the easiest one to start. And maybe we have to look at some of the challenges with Grand Bahama. Because the Port Authority... Is the Port Authority doing what it's...
Is the model, I was going to say, is the model still working? As we get ready to wrap up, is the model...
I think the Port Authority had done an excellent job in Grand Bahama over the years. I told persons many times, if it wasn't for the Grand Bahama Port Authority, Grand Bahama would have been an out island, just like Eleuthera and just like Exuma. Thanking God for the mail and listening for the news. That's the reality. Infrastructure, investors, the transition of the Port Authority since the death of Sir Albert, St. George, and Mr. Hayward, Sir Hayward, has given the port its challenges. but I think they will rise to the occasions.
So you are still a believer in the Port Authority?
Yeah, man.
And under the leadership of Ian Rowe.
I told you the port could give me a lease on the land in 2 months, and the government I've been talking to for 4 years couldn't get approval for NASA.
As we wrap up our program, in 30 seconds, is there anything you want to say to the Bahamian people about Pirates Cove, this wonderful project?
It is open to the public. I want to invite Bahamians, if you are in Grand Bahama, come and spend a wonderful day at the beach. To the Grand Bahamians, it is open. It is a free admission for locals to come into the park. If you want to do the kayaks and the paddleboard, then there's a little $5 fee. To the workers and the investors, we are going to make Freeport great and grand, because I believe, Pinnock, Grand Bahama has all the potentials to continue on that path that would have started back in the 60s and 70s.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wallace, for coming and sharing your thoughts on our program today. There's never a dull moment with you. You're watching Nation Building, and on behalf of all of us, the team here at Nation Building, want to thank you for tuning in this week, and stay tuned when we'll have another very, very important, exciting, and informative program for you, and have a great week, as always.
I've been a customer for the past 2 years, and I will say the quality of the service is very good. During my trip to Andros, I was connected the entire trip, so that was really good. I was able to contact my family members and let them know how the trip was going. We touched land, we're here, so it was very good, and I really appreciate that. And also during times like when we had the storm, it was really good to have that service to reach out to our loved ones to make sure everyone is okay. And I really appreciate Alive for that. And even when there's a little technical difficulty, they always send out a little text message to let us know exactly what's going on. I'm happy to be alive, and I believe in best.
Hello?
Did you get it?
Yes, baby. I got it.
Don't come home without it.
These arms of mine, they are yearning for wanting you.
Where is it?
Strongback is distributed by Jamaica Bahamas Import and is available at your favorite food or convenience store nationwide. For more information, call 341-4091 in Nassau and 351-8282 in Freeport.
Who said you can't get great quality products at an affordable price? If you want the best quality food products at the most affordable prices, you must pick up the Jamaica Bahama brand of fine quality products at your favorite food store. Products like Jamaica Bahama Coconut Water, the most healthy and refreshing drink on the market. Jamaica Bahama Fruit Punch, the only fruit punch in the Bahamas made from real fruit. Jamaica Bahama coconut milk, green pigeon peas with coconut milk, condensed milk, kidney beans with coconut milk, corned beef, green pigeon peas, mackerel, and corn. Jamaica Bahamas' fine line of products is available at all your favorite food stores and convenience stores nationwide. Telephone 351-8282 in Freeport and 341-4091 in Nassau.
I don't wanna wait. No, no, I don't wanna wait.
The concierge service is the best thing ever. Like, it is so fabulous, especially for someone like me where I cannot leave my office, my job, to go do anything in the middle of the day because I'm on the radio. The service was so fabulous. The ladies gave me a call, they set up an appointment, they come with their professional looking attire, they're just so cute, and they come here, and it was a great experience. It took 20 minutes to switch over to the Alive service. It was simple, it was easy, and they just made me feel so welcomed. They explained everything. They hooked me up with my new phone, they gave me my data package, as you can see, hey. And it was fabulous. It was a wonderful service, but what I really liked best about it was not only did they come here and make it easy for me, but they continued to check up on me. The next day, they made sure that everything was working properly with the phone. I didn't have any issues. The following week, they contacted me again, and I've built a relationship with them. They've continued to check up on me. I feel like I'm part of the Alive family. It's amazing.